Hey everyone, C.Mea here, back for more Pokemon Types and nonsense. Today we're gonna take a look at the coolest Pokemon type, which is the Ice type. First off, Ice against Normal. Again, as always, it's a Normal type matchup, so let's move on. Ice against Fire. As we saw, Fire type is super effective against Ice type. Ice types are not very effective against Fire, although Ice does melt and become Water, which is super effective, but not in Pokemon, or else it would be a Water type Pokemon. But because we're in Pokemon, it'll stick with the Ice part and will not be very effective because Fire is super effective against Ice, as we all know. Ice against Water. Water is the only component in Ice. And obviously, Water is used to Ice. If you freeze the water, it'll become Ice. So, doesn't do much damage, it just puts it into a solid form. So it's not very effective. Ice against Grass. Obviously, Grass is super effective against Water. Water is Ice. But, if we take a look at only the Ice part, Ice is super effective against Grass because it freezes it in the winter and makes all the grass wither and die and until it's reborn in spring. So Ice is super effective against Grass because of that. Ice against Electric, both are elements that will go through each other pretty easily. Normal damage, not much explained to do there, and that's it, normal damage. Ice against Ice, obviously, as in Water, Ice is used to Ice. If it's frozen even more, it won't become Mega Ice, it'll just stay cool, not very effective. Ice against Fighting. When I was younger, I thought that Ice was super effective against Fighting. I don't know why, just because it used to cool them off, but that's not the case. Fighting is super effective against Ice, but if you take Ice and you attack Fighting types, it'll be normal effective, because the Ice will hit the Fighting types just as if they were normal types. Ice against Poison, obviously you freeze the toxins, but they still stay toxins. There's no weakness to Ice and toxins, nor is there any resistance. So Ice is normal effective against Poison types. Ice against Ground. Ground in the winter freezes, and the water in the Ice takes all the little cracks and fills them up in the ground, then it becomes Ice. So all the ground becomes Ice, and then it's easy to shatter. So Ground is weak against Ice. Or Ice is super effective against Ground, which is the same thing. Ice against Flying types. Flying types, birds. They migrate in winter to go where it's hotter to not die because, cold is really cold and it's not that cool. So they migrate. Why? Because up in high altitude, the ice goes and covers up their wings, then they fall and die. So that's why it's super effective against flying types. Ice against Psychic, Ghost, Dark, and Fairy. We're all gonna do them in one shot. Ice is kind of an elemental type. It is the same as the Water type, kind of. It's different, but technically it's the same thing. So, obviously, because it's an elemental type, they can't do much against it except normal damage. So, it's normal damage to all of them. Ice against Rock. As we saw, the ice covers up everything in the rock, in the ground, then it's easy to shatter. But rocks are super effective against ice. So because of that, they had to balance it, and that's why it's normal against rock. So it's a normal type matchup. Next, Ice against Bug. Bugs are small, but in their limbs, they don't really have any nerves. If you tear apart a bug's leg, it won't really do much damage, it won't feel a thing. So, and they're pretty strong against winter. They can hibernate, they can slow their system down, slow their heart rate, and survive winter that way. That's how bugs work. So they can resist it pretty well even though they're small. So it compensates and it makes normal damage. Ice against Dragon. Dragon types are my specialty. I have a lizard home. They like heat a lot, not because they breathe fire, but because, well, that's the way it is. They're cold-blooded, and if it's minus 10 degrees Celsius outside, their body temperature is gonna drop to minus 10. If it's 10, they're gonna go to 10. If it's 20, they're gonna go to 20. If it's minus 40, they're gonna go to minus 40. But at minus 40, they're probably gonna die. So their body takes up the temperature that is outside and makes it in the inside. So if it's cold, they're gonna become cold, they're gonna freeze, and they're gonna die because they like heat. So that's why it's so hot in my room. Well, hot, I don't know. I'm so used to it. 40 degrees Celsius is quite nice. 20 is kind of cold or cool. So yeah, and because dragons are supposed to fly, it does the exact same thing as flying types, and it restrains their ability to fly. And because dragons are so used to heat, even though they breathe fire, ice is super effective effective against them for those reasons. Ice against Steel, usually we would finish the episode with Fairy, but this time it's Steel. Steel is really hard. Ice is hard, okay, but try to freeze the Steel. Try it, just try it. It's really hard. It's hard because it's hard, you know? So if you try, obviously, Steel is really resistant. Try to freeze the Steel, it won't really work well, so that's why it's not very effective against Steel. That's it for today, guys. Remember to like, share, comment, favorite, and remember to subscribe to the Mea Studios and join the Mea family. That's it for today, guys. It's me, C.Mea. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye now.